Vlad, you said something interesting in your Forbes article, I believe, where you said, cannabis was sort of an alternative to the worst stuff, the things that other people in your neighborhood might have been doing to relieve their stress or dealing with their reality. And maybe just touch on that a little bit about how you came into utilizing cannabis to deal with what you thought you needed to deal with in a productive way. So I think it touches on what I'm kind of saying. Like it shouldn't be this bad thing. It's actually you use it to kind of in a very positive fashion.
And I'm glad you brought this up, right, James? Because sometimes I talk to different people and doctors, and I touch into this subject right here. So, I grew up, and Ramon also, we grew up in uptown Manhattan, Harlem, Washington Heights. In the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't the most pleasant place. It was, a little rough and tough, a lot of hard drugs, a lot of things. So, to be able to still continue, going, having to live in these circumstances and still do what you got to do, out of all the options, cannabis was the best one. Helps you, take the stress away and help you still move forward, to go to school, to pursue your dreams, whatever it was, without hindering you like all those other hard drugs would. And what I wanted to mention to you was that I argue with the medical people sometimes, right, James? And I tell them, because they always try to make it seem like, the more medicinal side. So then I tell them an analogy. I tell them, how about the people that grow up in rough urban neighborhoods and tough situations, whatever they may be? The same way that war veterans have PTSD, people that are under bad circumstances should also kind of have that right to use cannabis, just to take your mind off of whatever you've been through in life.
Interesting. I'm curious if Barry or Neil or Ramon, you guys want to weigh on it.
No, I think you hit I think you hit all the points when you said that. There's a lot of things that people within the inner city neighborhoods go through, and to be stigmatized for that, to be able to just use a herb, which is obviously a plant been around for centuries. It's not fair. So I think you hit all the points there, Vlad.
Yeah, well, sorry, go ahead, Will.
I just want to bring up, not only, of course they didn't give us any sort of permission to basically use cannabis. Just also remember that we were basically 80% of the people that were getting arrested for smoking cannabis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, maybe we need to change that. We can start by just doing that. Real simple, right?
Yeah.
You were gonna say something, Barrington?
No, you know what? I was just, while you were talking, I was just thinking about Kenny Mack and, Restore the Harm, and that group and the stuff that they're doing, and that's exactly what it is. It's yesterday's criminals, today's CEO, and I like where it's going. But there's still a part of me that's pissed off that it was there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if I'm ever gonna let that go. It's always gonna be at the back going, there's people families that were torn apart and lives destroyed and dreams not realized, all because of falsities and lies and all of those things. But, I don't want to forget it, but you have to move forward and you got to embrace the positive and all of that. So that's what I was thinking when I was just thinking of Kenny Mack's group.
Yeah, I wanted to actually ask, obviously in a city like New York and Nevada where you are, Ramon, do you guys still, obviously the stigma is dropping. We're seeing, I hope, less and less of, people just being kind of put into jail for having a couple of joints or a couple of grams. What are you guys seeing a shift coming from big cities like that?
Well, specifically New York.
New York, yes.
Specifically New York, like Ramon said, when me and Ramon went to high school together, and during that time, you know what I mean? We thought it was normal to be arrested every once in a blue for smoking, because everybody we knew that smoked went through it too.
Yeah.
From then to now, I must say it's been a complete 360 as far as like, you know, like as far as like it being targeted, especially in urban neighborhoods where now, you know, worst case scenario, they might give you a summons if that, but I must say that they really lightened up on that a lot, because it was really bad at a point where I just told you we thought it was normal if you were a cannabis smoker and you had to, you know, be arrested once every couple of months or once a year. We thought that was completely normal because that's how often it happened.
Yeah, you're ready to take that risk every time you lit one up. Basically.
Right. So what I need you to understand is that when you get arrested for this, you don't just go to a holding cell for a couple hours and they give you a ticket. No, you spend what we call is you go through the system. So you basically spend a whole 24 hours in the prison system until you come out. Exactly.
Which to my understanding is a highly unpleasant situation.
Very much so.
Yeah, I would imagine just even being in a holding cell would be not pleasant.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to
there's
do
a lot of things you do in 24 hours that you don't want people to be around when you do, and they don't make it easy for you, I believe, in this 24-hour.
No, the 24-hour process is not nice.
No. Well, hopefully we're getting further away from that. As Barrington said, it's still a lot of deep-rooted stuff that we got to work through.